Let's just do this Matt Walsh video. The Serfs has been just uncovering all these old videos of Matt Walsh in his car.
Yeah, actually, on that note, I would just say, like, if you have time and want to make contributions to, like, media discourse, going back to these people's early media, like Ben Shapiro 2012 or whatever, or Crowder or whatever, I've thought about doing it myself, and sometimes I'm just like, well, I'd rather play 2K at Saturday, and I'd rather just relax.
That's
but
understandable.
I think it probably would be more fruitful than listening to their more recent stuff. Like,
yeah.
I think you can really bust these guys on some really dumb shit that they said back then.
Well, here's some of this dumb shit. Matt Walsh in his car on the go, as Sam would say if he's here, he's God knows where. We don't know where he's parked outside of.
I think this
could be anywhere. Could be a school. Could be anywhere else.
I think if this is the same video, it's from that series that we covered a few weeks ago or a month or two ago, where he was, basically saying that,
talking about the age of consent.
Yeah, the age of consent and how that can be warped, basically, and not universally applied.
All right, well, let's see what other weird angles he has and weird, bizarre territory he wades into.
If you want to understand anything about art over the last 2,000 years, literature, government, philosophy, yes, even science, okay? If you want to really understand the genesis and the history and the meaning and the substance behind all of those things, you got to know something about Christianity. Because Christianity has been the driving force and the substance.
The Bible is not Christianity. The Bible is the Old Testament, and it's the New Testament. I've read the Bible. I did this year. My question, the Christ part is in the New Testament. Are we going to be weighing the Old Testament and New Testament equally?
Well, he's a Christian theocrat, so no.
The New Testament is not nearly as long as the Old Testament is. So I hope we're spending way more time on like Ruth and Samson. But like this is I mean, even on his own terms, like I'm an atheist, I'm not supposed to know this shit, but your whole shit is messed up already. Like the Bible is not Christianity.
Yeah, but if we'll see what he gets into here, but he's giving weight to Christianity more because that's his God. That's God
anti-Semitic.
Well, we should see how his buddy Ben feels about that, but.
And the meaning and the substance behind all of those things, you got to know something about Christianity. Because Christianity has been the driving force and the substance of all of those things for centuries.
That is
this is
wrong.
I mean, like, the thing is like, so the Bible, not Christianity, like, certainly, yes, it's a major cornerstone of civilization on this planet. And also, like, many things have, many similar important touchstones have come off, like Islam, for instance, the Quran.
Doesn't count.
But just say, like, it's not Christianity. Like, the stuff, like, the Old Testament probably more influential in a lot of this culture stuff. Like especially you go back, like, I mean, John Milton wrote about Samson Agonistes. Like, he wrote about Adam and Eve. Guess what? That's not in the New Testament.
No.
That's the Old Testament. So, like, this isn't Christianity is like, it's like
you're looking at it too literally. He's just speaking generally about any achievement in Western civilization and attributing it to Christianity.
I want to, like, I think that actually I'd be fine with, like, as an atheist, if, say, the Old and New Testament were taught in schools. I would also want in that same class, like, the Quran and, like, Hindu texts and other world religions to be taught like that too. I think that is useful. There's a reason, like, I wasted my time reading that shit, because it is important, but not like that. Not the way that he's emphasizing.
Not excluding those. And it's meant to be a way to draw back every achievement in society, which he only counts the ones that happen in white countries, or by white countries to non-white countries, and saying that it's the result of Christianity, even though when he says science and speaks to that coming from Christianity,
Algebra came from Islam in that case.
Right. Well, and the Egyptians were doing brain surgery with anesthesia before the Bible was even written. So give me a break on that. But if you like, he might want to look up the Enlightenment and some of the way that the religion was approached from that perspective.
And yeah, in a sort of knowledge exchange across different cultures.
Yes.
Particularly the Mediterranean.
Because Christianity has been the driving force and the substance of all of those things for centuries. And, you know, this is why, in case anyone was wondering, this is why they used to teach the Bible in public school. That doesn't mean that you were required to believe in the Bible in public school, but for a long time in public school, in secular school, you were taught the Bible. You read the Bible in public school.
Pause it. Yeah, because
and that makes a lot of
they realize like all these kids, they can't color in the lines and they have no sort of like musical skills. So let's get them hooked on the Bible. That was the motivation. No, it was because it was a Christian nationalism.
Yeah.
The same reason you want it.
Right. Bigotry. Not because of the value that he's ascribing to it. Keep going.
Required to believe in the Bible in public school, but for a long time in public school, in secular school, you were taught the Bible. You read the Bible in public school. And that makes a lot of sense because the Bible, I mean, it's only the most influential piece of literature ever written, hands down, and nothing else even comes close to it. So if you're going to study influential literature in school, it kind of doesn't make sense to skip over the number one.
I don't know that that's necessarily true, especially if you look at like just number of people influenced by a certain text. I think other, you know, particularly religious foundational texts may have. It's not a hands down situation, I guess, is what I want to say.
Yes.
Go ahead,
Bradley. Written hands down, and nothing else even comes close to it. So if you're going to study influential literature in school, it kind of doesn't make sense to skip over the number one. I mean, that is a huge mountain to just jump over and pretend it's not even there. It's like if you were studying mountains and you never even acknowledged Everest. That's what it's like. It's like if
Okay,
it's just, I mean, the idea that we don't acknowledge the Bible when we got to put our hand over our heart every day in school, say, in God we trust, or
one nation under God.
One nation under God. I don't even remember. I haven't done the Pledge of Allegiance since school, right?
I used to just.
I'm a godless heathen.
To give you guys an idea of how subversive I was in high school, I used to not put my hand over my heart.
Whoa, I wouldn't either, and I'd skip the God part because I was like, Bill Maher's got this shit down.
Sometimes I don't even think. I think I either I wouldn't put my hand over my heart or I wouldn't say it. I would just stand up because I was a real. You
were real bad.
What was like the cultural sort of? Was there any sort of cultural model or like
at my school?
Yeah, or what was in your head at, I guess, sort of what?
It was probably honestly more anti-establishment than anything political. I literally was probably just like, it's actually so annoying for me to have to stand up and do
it does suck, yeah.
Yeah.
I get tired of holding your hand on your heart like that.
Yeah. Well, I hope that Matt Walsh follows all the lessons from the Bible if it's so foundational. I hope he's never eaten shellfish ever, or he's going to hell. I hope he's never worn a blend of two fabrics.
I'll just say, like, when something the Bible is has inspired comes up, like say John Milton, Paradise Lost, or in Shakespeare or wherever, there's a footnote explaining like the sort of context you need.
Yes.
Biblically, like
God,
it doesn't. There's not like this sort of conspiracy to act like the Bible doesn't exist. There may be a conspiracy to stop treating it as if it's divinely ordained. In which case, I am a part of that conspiracy.
Yes, all in favor. All right. Well, just a reminder, he is a Christian theocrat. Ben Shapiro is a theocrat as well. And what they are laundering at the Daily Wire is widely unpopular and uncool. Kowalski, I went to a Lutheran school for my first 10 years of my education. Matt Walsh is bad at history. Religious education is different, but my big takeaway I have is just community is nice. Also, Lutheranism in some ways is closer to Judaism than Calvinists, who are wrong, just like the Catholics and Orthodoxy. I joke sort of, but Luther had a ton of cultural Jewish exposure in Prussia. In that education and reading and memorizing and discussing religious tales. For what it's worth, we were taught evolution and the Big Bang alongside creationism at a local public high school. My Lutheran classmates were probably a solid year or more ahead of everybody. All right.
I mean, they want us to go back to like we had a whole trial called the Scopes Monkey Trial about how hey we should we can't teach biblical fundamentalism. We actually have to teach science. Like that's what Walsh is fighting.
Yeah. Apple cideritis. The reason that so much of classical art is religious is the church was one of the largest patron of artists for a long time. Maybe we should reflect on why the church had so much money to throw at artists in the first place and replicate it in the United States.
The church is basically often a state monopoly on psychological operations for an entire population.
Bring back the Medicis. That's what we need.
Yeah.
Patronage again.
Or just like increase the power of the Illuminati. Maybe they can serve as that. That's a good idea. We'll get on that. Just brainstorming.